at least you have a right guidance to follow your dreams or to be the achievers or winners and something else. So my code is open always, as I have always believed. So first of all, I want to say thank you to Unnati and team CodXCrypt. So they gave me this chance to get start and present my views on what is open source and how you all can contribute to this particular journey, or if I talk about Git or GitHub. So first of all, a huge, like, really thanks to Unnati and the team who has put down this whole concept together. So I was going through their LinkedIn, and I guess this is the very first, and I'm privileged that you guys chose me and to get the momentum started. So from my all good wishes, and thank you so much for like choosing me. So guys in the chat, if you can just please like congratulate you all or say thanks to all of you, it will be a great means when I stop screen sharing. I will be glad to see cheers for Unnati and the team CodXCrypt who is behind this, putting up whole theme together and bringing us all to this wonderful platform on the Sunday Eve. So thank you, Unnati, and
So,
God bless for
so
getting it started.
it's a privilege to work with you and to get some motivation.
I don't know that I am a motivator or not, but surely after this session, you will have a lot of myths cleared. So let's get start. Means I don't want to disturb the flow. And so what I have for you today is I'm gonna break my presentation in two parts so that I also get time to interact with you all. So in first part we will be discussing about what is open source, where to contribute, and who all can contribute to the open source. And then and towards the second part means we'll try to keep a short Q&A over there, and then we will discuss about what is Git and GitHub is all about, and how what was the necessity of bringing the CVS in picture. Okay, so all those things we will discuss. So anyone who want to unmute and tell me this keyword, what is open source? Can someone tell me what is open source to you? Anyone, any idea, anything you want to share? What is open source? I am not able to hear that part. Sorry. Abhinav is trying to speak. I guess Abhinav,
You
we are
could
not able
type
to
in
hear you.
chat box, Abhinav.
So, denoting software for which the original source code is made freely available and it
Made
can be
free.
redistributed and modified.
Rishabh, yeah, means it can be redistributed, verify. It can be adaptable, free of cost. Yeah, absolutely correct. Anybody else? Free, adaptable, freedom, modification, free of cost, availability, source code is available. All these things. Yes. Anybody else who has a different perspective towards open source? Anybody over here who believed in collaboration? I guess certainly everybody does that. So, talking about open source, I guess this is something I copy pasted entirely from a Wikipedia or some Google page, that open source software is a type of computer software in which source code is released under a license in which the copyright holder grant the users to right to use, study, change, or distribute the software anybody for any purpose. So, thing is, let's try to understand the basic of open source. Means for me, the open source is something that somebody has developed something, and the person who has developed, they have openly shared that, hey, look, this is something for you and for me, for everybody else. Now whatever you want to change, you make a change and give it back to the community to review, to adapt, or to make certain suggestions to the same. And once you does that, if you happily accept, it's good to go. Now if you developed anything new, sorry, if you developed something new out of it, means the original code which I have developed, you made some modification and you pass it back to the community. Now it totally up to you, because now it is your product. Now you want to charge it or you want to release it for free. It totally up to you. So some of the core values, if we try to correlate with open source, are the adaptability, security, frameworks, or I should say the collaboration, compatibilities, everything revolves all to the like a synonym to open source. So for me, this open source is like a combination of two words. One is open and second is source, where open means adaptable for everyone and source means the source code or the code is available for the modification. Now, people take it very wrong in terms of OSS and the FOSS, free open source software and the open source softwares. So now over here, if you talk about like how the code is compiled and available to the public, now let's assume with this example, I believe everybody would be able to correlate that if you see this developer, he developed a program. Now he kept the compiled program out of that code, the compilation program he kept to himself, and the source code was available to the public, so that all the users and the developers can improve the source code and can be like contribute to a code base where like a larger audience is accessing the same. Guys, can you please go on mute, please? Okay. Hence, talking another example, like let me take a very, very layman example. So, talking about water, I guess Earth is covered with 70% of water. So, let's assume this water as a source code. On the other side, we get this Bisleri, Aquafina, Avance, and many other drinking waters, right? Now, these drinking waters are nothing but the compiled program out of a source code. So thing is, water is freely available to anyone. They can modify. What Bisleri people does, they made some like modification in that source code or into that water and package it into a plastic water bottle or a container and give it to us for a charge fees. And so that is what the beauty of open source is. Means FOSS, like which is called freely open source software, they always have this business mindset. Like I'll acquire a community, I'll give back the source code. So simply the thing is like in case of Bisleri, water is freely to available to anyone out there. But the compiled program means whatever the chemical reactions they are doing, what are the modification they are doing over there, is not exposed to anyone. So they have the right, they want to like publish it or they don't want to, it totally up to individual to them, but still the source code is available. So thing is, the Bisleri is something but a compiled program of that source code which we are using, and we are making the changes out there. So this is how all the entirely like FOSS gets started. Means when we talk about free open source software, you always have a business mindset, means you want to earn out of it. On the other side, when it comes to open source software, the compiled program, the source code, everything is available to anyone. You go there, check it and use it. If you want to give it back, it totally up to you. So open source is basically nothing but like a source code which is available to the community outside. Now it totally depends on you if you want to charge it for your code modifications or something, or if you don't, it totally depends on individual. So when it comes to Red Hat, means me, I am placed at Red Hat as a solution architect, and I'll talk towards my journey towards the last, that who I am and why I love to be the open source enthusiast. So thing is, Red Hat is a company who has like over a 27 years of experience. We have invested in a lot of open source project and technologies, and where my passion of the open source things comes into the picture. So the most important key pillars of the open source for an enterprise, means whenever a company or like a production environment seeks for a advice, Red Hat has categorized into the four pillars, which I personally love. Means one is the collaboration, because we participate in open source project and give back to the communities again. Second is the transparency. So in like both access and the ability to act on issues, because there are a lot of development which are happening on the open source community sides and projects. We need to make sure that whatever the products we are using, they are the enterprise ready as well. So the transparency to act on any issue which when it comes is very much important. So whatever the engineering work that Red Hat does is also getting back to the community, so that community is also aware that what we are doing and what we are not doing. And then the innovation, because I personally see that if you want to be the digital disruptors in the market, or the digital innovators, or digitally transformed, most important thing is keep innovating. Now, does that digital transformation is only because of the technologies that you are bringing in? No. And similar methodology is being adopted at Red Hat, that it is not always the like application that is digitally transformed. It is important for a people and the processes and the platform to evolve equally. So what we have done is like talking about the innovation to solve the shared program problems faster and together as well. And last but not the least, when it comes to enterprise, it is always important to get standardized. Means the community what they are doing, we standardized them, we certified them, and took the responsibility that for our products and services you won't face any challenge, and if you face, we are there to support you. So for me, what it create a passion to work at Red Hat was these 4 K pillars. Means collaboration, transparency, innovation, and standardization. And this is totally wholly responsibility of me to pass on these values, because there are a lot of other freedom factors that comes along with Red Hat, that okay, these are something that they are looking for or something not. But these are my perspective to see the open source. So, and if you agree, just let me know if you have any other perspective in your mind or something like that. Do drop down your questions in the chat box so that I can address towards the end. Now we understood that what is open source, so where you can contribute to. So thing is, when it comes to contribution, there are like a lot of version control systems out there. Now, if you want to contribute, there should be some resource or there should be some pool where you can contribute. And I guess the most famous is Git, which we are also going to talk towards the second half of this session, where we are going to discuss what is Git, what is GitHub, and other things. But other than Git, there are a lot of other forums also, like CVS is there, Apache Subversioning is there, Mercurial is there, public forums, Monoton, Bazaar. All these things are available, and I guess many more names are also there. But one of the most famous ways to contribute to any of the source codes or any of the repository is Git. And I guess please do drop down the person who has invented Git. I'll be glad to see the name in the chat box once I stop sharing. Or if somebody knows, can you please speak out loud that who invented Git? Anyone? Nobody knows it.
So he was a founder of Linux operating system, I think.
Yes,
As
exactly correct, buddy. Who's this?
Sir Ritesh Bhardwaj.
Yeah, Ritesh. Yes, you pointed out absolutely correct, buddy. He is the founder of Linux operating system, and his name is Linus Torvalds. So he invented Git in 2004 or 2005, if my understanding is correct. Means I sometimes miss the years, but yes, in early 2000, I should say, in 2004 or 2005, Linus Torvalds comes up.
2005.
2005. So he comes out with the version control system called Git. The most important reason behind Linus Torvalds to come up with the Git was to improve the contributions towards the community of Linux operating system, because Linux was growing and the kernel was getting a huge acknowledgement from the industry experts. So they were looking for a place, or I should say a pool or a repository where everybody can contribute to. And that's how they found out Git. So Linux Torvalds comes out with a great experience with the Git, and they just simply showed out this thing. So Git is one of the most famous ways to contribute, like where you can create repositories, contribute to somebody's else repository. If you found out some bugs, you can report it, you can read the files, you can read others' contribution, you can take the help. So it is basically a public forum where anybody can contribute and they can access to it. So somebody is trying to work on my screen. So thing is, if you are interested in like any of the language contribution, like if you know how to contribute in Java, if you know how to contribute to Ruby, or if even if you don't know, there are a lot of plenty of things where you can contribute to, which I'm going to discuss, like talking about the documentation, talking about the readme corrections, talking about the documentation, talking about the contribution to the research, and moreover the things. But These two websites give you the issues where you can actually start contributing to yourself, means talking about like how to fix a bug. Now there are small bugs which are being lined up, they shows out over here. So all these things are there which you can contribute to, and you can get start to the things. So just take the screenshots of these two websites, and please feel free to like go ahead and contribute to these particular things and get started for your open source. Now once you are starting, or like once you get start to these open source, there are a lot of contests are also running where you all should ideally take part, like talking about Google Summer of Code or Google Code in, or like talking about Ruby Google Summer of Code, Girl Script Summer of Code, or many other things. Like October is going on, so from DigitalOcean there is something called Hacktober is going on. Then if you talk about GitHub itself, there is something called MLH program is going on. So there are a lot of things that are being organized by a lot of communities. So these are some of the names where you can actually go and start searching on that how you can take the part. Now what issue is with the students is that they are highly attracted towards the brand names, means like talking about the Google Summer of Code, and they just get active before 1 or 2 months when the coding or the like application round gets start. Now thing is, just try to understand this fact. The mentors who are actually over here, or means when we talk about the mentors to select you, they knows or they keep an eye on you that how much long you have been contributing to the open source projects. So take the idea and start making your network wide and fruitful from all these like programs. So just take the screenshot of this, and if you want to just start exploring it, and if you still don't find out the right person to get like connected to these programs, just feel free to let me know. I can definitely connect to some of your mentors and the participant who are the part of these programs. Because being in a like industry of Red Hat, I have been encountering a lot of students, a lot of mentors, a lot of project admins out of all these organization in one or the other way. So I'll be more glad that if somebody reaches out to me asking a help for a particular program, and they have done a research a bit. Don't directly jump on that, hey sir, I want to be in outreach, or I want to be in Google Summer of Code, what is the procedure? No. If you are stuck somewhere, if you have finalized your organization, if you have finalized the project, let me know, and I'll check that how I can be the help for you to participate in these programs. So these are some of the things that you can always refer to. Now talking specifically on the girls at this point of time, like talking about outreachy. So I guess outreachy happens twice a year, and this is specifically for the girls that you can participate. And they also offer some cash prizes, and participation means it not only for the coding. There are few projects who are targeting for documentation and some for the designings, but they are very few. But yes, there are the ways for the known coders also to contribute. So outreach is something that you should look for. Then there is something called Red Hat Open Source Contest, means every single year we open up our nomination for Women in Open Source Award, where you have to list down the contributions that you have done throughout an year or like entire your journey of open source. We finalize, we accept the proposals, and in the end, if you get so every year at Boston or like somewhere else, we do this event. Luckily this year it was virtual, so everybody got a glimpse of it, and they select. So thing is, you have to describe about your open source journey, means how you contribute to the open source. And we finalize one winner, and you get acknowledgement at redhat.com, where the global team appreciate your work. And you get to meet a lot of people out there. And luckily, why I'm making this point over here, that last year the girl who won this Woman in Open Source Award winner, thing is, she has made around like 5,000 Wikipedia commits, means she has corrected more than 5,000 Wikipedia pages. So that is somewhere down the line is also a valuable contribution to open source, that how you are contributing back to the society. So just like Season of Dogs, it is also similar to Google also. So Google also runs this Season of Dogs, Season of KD is there, Mozilla outreachy programs are there, outreach itself is there, Julia Summer of Code, and all these programs provide you a very good like networking and overview that how you can get started with the open source part. So just go ahead and search out on these on the net, that how you can figure it out, and just let me know if you need any kind of help towards contribution of the same. So the most important question that must be jumping out of your head will be would be that who all can contribute. So basically, coding is something that everybody have heard of, but before that, like whenever a project gets start, most important part is its documentation. So if you are good in understanding or writing or in like English, I should say, because or even in some of the language like French, German, Japanese, or XYZ, people are looking for the contributors who can help them to increase the quality of the documentation. If you are a good designer, people are also looking for the designers to make their project looks good or their applications look good, and you can contribute to the design of the same. There are a lot of organization who participate, allows you to participate as a researcher, where you need to like research about a technical aspect. They give you the framework that okay, this is something they are looking for, they want to do it, and if you are happy to contribute, they are ready to give you all the things. Then spread the words, means when it comes to like spreading the words that you need to be the contributors in open source. Technically words, these people are called as the advocates of open source, where you will be spreading the word that why you should contribute. You start building a community, you like encourage people to contribute more, things like that. And then but obviously if you are good in understanding the coding, I guess the most easiest way to get associated with any project is the coding. Then contribute to the existing project, means there are a lot of projects which are there available free of cost, and I should say open to everyone. You can always contribute to that project in like top all these five keywords. You can document them, help them to design a application out of it, research to enhance that project, maintain the quality of that projects, and XYZ. Or even I should say the best part would be create your own project. This is also a way to contribute, means if you thought of like creating an application which you want to like open it to everyone, just do it, because creating your own project and giving back to the community is also one of the contributions that you are making out. Or if you see some commercial tools out there in the market which are highly charged, or I should say which are quite costlier in the market, what you do is create the open source alternative of that commercial project. This is also one of the very important thing, means talking about a recent, I guess everybody knows that how the lot of Chinese application got banned. And at the same time, if you have your own homegrown application, you have a very wider scope to attract the communities which are around you, because
So,
that is something. Yeah, please.
so Pulkit Goyal raised the hand. I guess he wanted to ask something.
Please.
Go ahead, Pulkit. Okay, he he down his end. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
So basically the major part is that creating a like open source alternative for any commercial project. So this is very much important to understand at these point of time, in these like tough and president's time, that if you can contribute to a normal person's success, I guess that is the biggest contribution for any open source thing. Means if you are a good coder, if you have a good team, try to create an alternative that can work or focus on that how the things are working, like talking about the commercializing of any software, because a lot of softwares are there which are like highly paid, and everybody cannot like accept that fees. So why don't you create an open source alternative to that project? Just create it, it's absolutely fine. So because that is something, the biggest contribution would be to the society, and this is what open source is all about, that how you contribute to other success and things like that.
Sir,
Yeah, please.
sir, I have a doubt. Like
Yeah.
the open source the open source challenges and the competition that you had like mentioned, GSOC and the other things. Like it is bounded like of college, like you are in third year or in final year, you cannot attend like that one.
No. So it is not never like that. Like talking about outreachy is one of the program that anybody can participate to. Yes, Google Summer of Code is something that is being accepted till fourth year, like inside your college journey, that only you can participate. After that, you cannot. So there are few things like one of the most interesting program which I got to know that this year Google has stopped in, which was called GCI, Google Code in. So this was for school students, I guess till the age of 14 or also. They used to conduct this program and you can learn into it. So majorly the program where good amount of prize money is associated or something like that, there we used to have like this restriction that you can participate till fourth year of your college, but nothing like that, that only first year can do it or second year can do it or something like that. No worries, anybody can.
Fine, sir.
Yeah, Shashank it is, right? Okay. Now, talking about etiquettes. So, thing is, when it comes to anything, I have always believed that ethics and etiquettes are something that everybody should have. And this is particularly, it shows your upbringing, it shows your which culture you are coming to. This shows your entire dedication, your attitude towards the contribution. So, when it comes to the open source contribution, there are like few listed etiquettes that everybody should follow. Like talking about, if there's a document, read it. Very simple thing is that any of the project which anybody would like to create it open, they would have documented it. So if the documentation is present, why don't you go and check it out completely? So before like asking for any help, hey, I want to learn this thing, there might be a documentation for it, you just go through it. And what I as a project maintainer would be love to see is, if you have gone through the documentation and if you find out that this is something that you are not able to understand and you take it, hey, look, I went to your document on this page number, I was not able to correlate to this part, can you please explain it or elaborate it? So somebody else would have this thing in the picture that, okay, he has gone through the documentation and he faced the challenge, and over there my priority would be high to help you. That, okay, this is something that I want to address and I would glad to help, rather than a person who just came out, hey, I don't understand your project, can you please explain? So the very first important part is, if there is a documentation, if there is a readme file, go through it, read it, and then make a comment. Then second most important part is, look at the existing issue before opening a new one. Now what happens is that a lot of time people like clone the project at their local repository, and they found out that, okay, this is a bug that I have figured it out. And in like that greediness of getting a swag or bug bounties or like some amount, what they do is they start opening up the issues before actually checking that was that issue was already being raised or not, right? Or like whenever they want to raise a request that, hey, look, I found out a bug or I found a issue in your application, we never thought of checking whether this issue was already reported by somebody else or not. So just look at that if there is any existing issue is there. If not, the third point is, provide as much as info you can. Because thing is, if you are providing a like detailed report, it will be easier for other person to understand that what is that criteria you have followed to report this bug, or to figure it out that this bug was there and what is the resolution for the same. Because when you want to contribute, there are certain set of guidelines they follow. Now take an example, application was built in Python and you try to run it in C compiler, but obviously there will be a lot of bugs that you can easily find out. Now thing is, if there is a guidelines provided that, hey, look, I have done this testing, this kind of unit testing, please follow them and then do it. So it becomes easier for other contributors to understand that how you are doing it. So that is one of the most important part. Now three things that I personally love to see in an individual to be terms as a good sports person, or I should say a good contributor, is be empathetic and understanding, collaborate and cooperate, and say thank you. Now thing is, what people see or what a student are always inclined towards is that as soon as they ping, they expect a response. Means if you are started working in a contributor meets and to a project, you start raising a request at the Slack channels or onto the texted groups or IRC channels or whatever it is. expect a immediate reply, or if you have dropped down an email, you are expecting a immediate reply back. Now that is not possible for any individual, because if you see, let's say if you are introducing yourself, you are introducing, hey look, I am this, I have participated in this organization, I'm contributing to this, that, and xyz information, and you are expecting a welcome response from there. It might take time, because person who is actually maintaining that list, they want to check your patience or your working experience, or they might be exploring you by checking that how's your contribution online, how we can see it, how we can trace it. What people does is, hey, I want to be a contributor, I haven't done anything. Now that is, even if you haven't done anything, why you are here? Tell us. And that's the reason I always see that people who provide as much as information you can, and it should be relevant. Like taking an example of resume, what is the use of writing your hobbies in the resume? Means, do you really think that being I am as an interviewer, I will be interesting in hearing that, hey, I love cricket and Dhoni is my favorite player, and you are giving an interview for Python like programmer? No. So that doesn't make any sense. And similar thing happens with the open source contributors. They simply rise up just about 1 or 2 months before the application process starts, because they are inclining towards the this prize money or this lucrative swags which are coming up. So what people does is, they simply see that, okay, this is something that I can grab from this community, let's participate, grab it and forget. Now open source doesn't work in that way. They are looking for the people who are having a collaborative approach, and they can cooperate others to get onboarded and start contributing. So that is a basic difference, and always be thankful to other persons who have guided you. So that are some of the open source etiquettes which you should all follow. And these are the top verticals. If you want to work in DevOps, if you want to work in IT operation, if you are more enthusiastic towards the data and analytics, these are some of the company names which has the lot of open source projects available. And you can go there and start searching about them, and you can contribute to these. And many of these companies also participate in these Google Summer of Code and all other things as a projects. So they have a lot of requirement for the contributors who are contributing to these. They develop a new idea, and you get the credit for the same. Sorry. So these are some of the projects which I was able to pull it out from a website, and these are some of the names which are highly encouraged in the market. So one of the most important question and easiest way to get start with the open source communities and get to know is, do you know Linux? So how many of you actually know Linux, or had heard of this before, Linux? Or if you are using Linux, what is that distribution you guys are looking, or you guys have worked on? Anyone want to share their experience? Or even if it is fine if you say no, that we don't know Linux.
No, sir. Till now, like I don't use like Linux.
Okay, it's absolutely fine. Who is this buddy?
Shank, sir.
Shashank. Shashank, if may I ask you a question, and if you are willing to answer this, why you use Windows?
Mm, like I can't explain to be
I
honest.
can't explain, but obviously because that is something that you have looked since you have like holded this laptop or your desktops or something like that, right? You have always
Yes, sir.
seen that, or might be Mac, if may I ask, because that is a lot of time nowadays. I see students are holding Macs. Means till date I don't have that privilege, but again,
Yes,
the
sir.
thing is, yeah. So okay, Shashank, let me talk to you on one. If I'll give you some reasons that you should know Linux, would you be interested in learning Linux?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so just go ahead with like next 6 slides, and I'll come back to you, Shashank, asking that now, do you interested in learning Linux or not? So
Sure,
talking
sir.
about my journey since like 2012 when I entered in the college, I saw this particular picture which says that Linux is everywhere, and I was so curious to know that. do you really think that Linux has this much of capabilities? Because I have always seen this Windows which has some cool graphics, and like even according to my understanding, when I bought my dad gifted me my first laptop in 2013, I was so happy that I want a laptop which has a graphic cards. And what is the use of this graphic card? Because I was starting to get play this server games, means like this NFS and whatever it was, like CS, which I never did. But I was so happy that in my laptop there is a graphic card. But I was not even using but I was not even knowing, like if I talk about cores, what is this CPU cores are all about. I was not even knowing what is this octa core or something like that. But when I started exploring, I understood the use cases, and today I guess anybody who want to ask, I am pretty good at explaining all those terminologies. So talking about Linux, the world runs smarter with Linux. If you know about the supercomputers, 99% of world's top supercomputers are running over Linux operating system. 1.4 billion active users are Linux based Android devices. So I guess, Shashank, you must be using an Android mobile phone, or for that matter, even if you are using an iPhone, you are already using a Linux. You just don't know it. If you talk about stock exchange, 80% of all stock exchange in the entire world are relying on Linux operating system. And even if you talk about India's national stock exchange, it is the world's fastest stock exchange, which is running over Red Hat Enterprise Linux itself. And that is a very bold statement. And you can go and search about the national stock exchange white paper, which says that yes, after using Red Hat, they have been achieving this title, and they are the world's fastest stock exchange in the world. Even if today's people are talking about cloud computing, 90% of public cloud, whether it is Amazon, Azure, or Google, they all are built over Linux operating system. If you talk about the space, Linux has gone where no man has even gone before. Like even if you talk about the space mission, 32 precise space missions have been completed with the power of Linux operating system. If you talk about a SpaceX, there is a like this documentary which was like published by SpaceX, where they said that they are using the Linux operating system over their Dragon space aircrafts. And I guess recently, when Elon Musk came out with this thing that they are gonna build their own spacecrafts, and they did it. The Dragon spacecraft went to the International Space Station and came back, and it was using Linux operating system in behind. Even if you talk about NASA's Curiosity rover, which was ready to explore the Mars, they were also using the Linux operating system. Even if you talk about the Hollywood, I guess Titanic is something that everybody have seen it. That was the first feature film that was produced over Linux servers. 95% of desktops and servers are using Linux for the animations and the visual effects. Lee Scrooge is one of the animator movie that took around like 9100 computing render years to produce the Les Scrooge. So thing is, this is the power of Linux operating system. If you see that you can use it in the wide diversity in different verticals, talking about animations, visual effects, or if you talk about productions, or like talking about animations or space missions and XYZ, where data severity or like data processing are the critical task. If you talk about world supercomputer, you cannot even name that quantity of data they are processing in a minute or in a second. Now that is the power you get in Linux operating system. Even if you talk about the transportation, US air traffics, 100% of US air traffic controls on Linux operating system. If you talk about the Japan bullet trains, they are running over Linux operating system. If you talk about the Queensland's motorway, which is in the London or UK, if I'm not wrong, they are also using for their smart traffic management. The Linux transformation, Linux is transforming the transportation areas as well. Even for that matter, I guess now I need not to even speak a single company name which you are seeing on the screen. They are heavily relying on the Linux operating system, or even I should say the Red Hat technologies. And I guess, Shashank, now my just simple question is still, you need some more information to understand that why Linux is important and you should learn.
Yes, sir. Like I started knowing like it is high security. Like that's why the big tech giant companies like are using this, and for it is easy for maintenance for like having big data of like for big servers. Like that why That's why they are using these like big tech giants
Yes.
companies. Like sir,
Even
I have a one
uh-huh.
doubt.
Yeah,
Uh,
please.
Sir, the like Linux operating system that you were told, like it has Red Hat, Ubuntu. Like what is the like main source from where it generates like Ubuntu, Arth, and that one like
So
Red Hat?
basically, all these are the distribution of Linux, right? So what I said was like all and wholly the soul is Unix. Now, on
Okay.
top of which, or the different Linux distribution systems comes into the picture. So if you talk about Red Hat, so Red Hat is nothing but a enterprise Linux, which comes out from Fedora. So Fedora is something that we uses as our base community project, and on top of which we engineer and make it enterprise ready. So if you talk about RHEL as an operating system, Red Hat Enterprise Linux is something that we have acquired from Fedora. And even for giving back to the community, we came out with, sorry, we came out with our community version called CentOS. So if you are using Fedora, Red Hat, or CentOS, you won't face any challenge because all they are having from the same hierarchy. Then if you talk about Debian or Kali Linux, both are same because Kali Linux is nothing but a modified version of Debian. Then Ubuntu is some different distributor, and Oracle Linux, SUSE, and they all are the different distributors. Nothing else than that. But whole and solely Unix is base for all these projects.
Okay, sir.
Even yesterday, I was at the McDonald's. I went out to Bathinda, and I was at the McDonald's, and I was able to see on one of the screen Ubuntu is running. So McDonald's actually uses Ubuntu. Even if you talk about Netflix, Microsoft, Google, they all are using Linux in one or the other way. So the Linux or the Unix operating system, the hardcore of any operating system is the kernel. So basically, even if you talk about the Android mobile phones, if you go down into your setting and go to system information, you will be able to see a distinguished time liner which says that hey, it is using this kernel version. So if you talk about the data security, data processing, data analysis, talking about cloud or talking about system maintenance, or if you even if you talk about the developers who want a cloud like experience everywhere, every single individual nowadays, Linux is the core IT skill that they are looking for every single individual out there in the market. So I encourage you all to get your hands dirty on Linux operating system as soon as possible you can, because something is awaiting big for you all. Because if you are in the college in like second or third year, or even if you are in the fourth year, you're looking for the placements nowadays, it is even recommended for the developers to know the basics of Linux operating system. So just go ahead and start learning. It is very easy to learn. As I'm like asked to Shashank that why you are using Windows operating system, exactly everybody should ask to yourself that why we are using Windows operating system. Only thing is, from the day you have seen the laptop or the operating system, you have been addicted to Windows. Just try a different flavor out of it and you will feel amazed with the power, with the processing speeds of Linux operating system. So Red Hat is the largest open source company in the world, which has the open source as a development model. Means talking about we participate in actively 1 million plus projects. We integrate them, means we talk about the upstream project just right now. Like for Red Hat Enterprise Linux, we participate with Fedora. Similar thing, like talking about the storage, we have our Red Hat Ceph and Red Hat Gluster FS. So Ceph comes from the Intech company. So basically, we have contributed, like we have acquired some of the open source companies and we have engineered them and we have given it back so that we have a stabilized projects. So this is something that I personally love of Red Hat, that how we participate in a lot of open source project and how we stabilize them by integrating our engineering work with the open source projects. So this is something which I was just talking about, like top skills IT managers are looking to hire in 2020 is like every single individual is seeking for the Linux talent. If you even if you talk about the uh, like the persons who are having a known coding experience or whose coding is not good, if you talk about the DevOps or like the system engineers, or if you talk about the system administrators, these are the fields where Linux knowledge is very much important. So Secondly, your open source talent means how your open source contribution is all about. So see, as a interviewer, or like when I am sitting as an interviewer, I always sees that what is your take on open source. Why? Thing is, when you start participating in or contributing into the open source project, you always have a wider reach, or even I should say, you always able to reach out to a lot of people out there in the market, because that is how you create a fruitful environment for yourself. So that is how the Linux is very much important for everybody's to learn. And even if you want to get start with the Red Hat, I guess the Red Hat learning community, which is free of cost, available with everyone. You just go to rhlc, and you can easily search it, or you just simply type learn.redhat.com, and you can be a part of Red Hat learning community, where you can find out some of the free trainings. You can participate in the open discussions, you can post down your questions, and people will be happy to revert it back. So this is also one of the very easiest way to get start and build your professional network. Now, let me give you a reason. Like, I guess this animated picture, I pull it out, and I have always this question in my mind, that why lion is called the king of jungle. Means, I always sees that if I talk about the heaviest, I guess the heaviest animal is the elephant, and lion is not, but obviously the heaviest. Even if you talk about the smartest, I guess we never say that lion is the smartest. Or when we say like as cunning as folks, means, yes, the folks might be the cunning, but yes, it takes a lot of like smartness to be the cunning. Or even if you talk about the tallest, I guess giraffe is the tallest animal. Lion doesn't have all these qualities, but he still rules the jungle. So what is the most important part, that this animal, or I should say, we or I guess you all would be agree to this part, that lion is nothing but a big fat cat. Big fat cat means they are the ancestors of cat, right? What did this smaller cat make it fearless or respectable, or I should say, the animal who is like owning the jungle like anything? The simple answer to this quote is the attitude. So your positive attitude matters the most, that how people are taking you. So if you when you talk about your open source contribution at the initial phase, you might not get the respect, or the thing or the expectation might get fulfilled, but over a time, when you are consistent, you will understand that how people are applauding your success. And if you yourself see the journey, you will be the king of that contributions or the stream or the project. So it takes time to get evolved. So take that positive attitude approach towards your work, and that is the most important thing. So, talking about me, so now I just want to have a brief intro about me, and then I'll jump on to the second part of their presentation where we talk about Git. So, my name is Gaurav Sharma again, for those of who haven't paid any attention, that who I am and who's this guy is speaking for 1 hour, and next half an hour or 1 hour again he'll be speaking. So, I'm a Linux lover and an open source enthusiast. I'm a tech speaker. I have been speaking at a lot of national and international conferences. About an experience, it is 3.5 years with Red Hat, and Red Hat is my first company. Right now I'm working as a solution architect, and when we say a solution architect, I'm wholly and solely responsible for the transformations of our partners at Red Hat. And when we say as partners, means small and medium businesses and the mid-market customers. I'm responsible for their enablement, for their work, and for their solution designing. If you talk about the Red Hat certified architect, which is highly written with my name, that RSCA level 14, that includes like 20 old certificates of Red Hat in different domain, rightly starting from Red Hat certified system administrator to Red Hat certified engineer to some automation, cloud, middleware, and all these things. So I have 20 odd different certifications in Red Hat. I'm a Red Hat certified instructor and examiner. In my previous job role at Red Hat, I used to instruct to a lot of MNCs. So almost in India, I guess you name the company, and I have delivered. I was fortunate to deliver the trainings over there, like talking about TCS, Wipro, Accenture, Bank of America, or if you talk about like the companies, Goldman Sachs, or if you talk about this famous bank called HDFC, SBI, I have delivered it to all. So yes, and I was also an accredited examiner where I used to conduct the exams. I'm also a Amazon Web Services certified solution architect. I have recently cleared this Azure fundamental certifications. I'm also a Google Cloud certified professional architect. I'm a CCSK plus and CCSP certified. I'm like trained on a lot of Azure technologies, talking about platform containers, dockers, and many other things. Or even if you talk about the Hadoop Cloud Spark and many other things. And I have zero experience in coding language. Means zero means zero. I don't even know a single coding language, and I haven't used Windows since 2013. So in 2012 I got into the college, and very next year when my first semester got over, I started learning ethical hacking, and since then, the Kali Linux, Debian, Fedora, then Red Hat, and I guess till date I haven't used any Windows machine, and I'm quite happy with that. So this is I am means I have always believed in that when you can't direct the winds, but we can always adjust the sails. So thing is, yes, coding was not a cup of tea for me. What I did, I improved my administrator skills, and I started exploring technologies like cloud automation, Hadoop, Spark, and XYZ, and hence speaking in front of you. So if you have any questions which you want to ask out of these things, please feel free to connect me over LinkedIn or over Twitter or Instagram. Just drop me a text, and I'll be more happy to answer your queries which I am not able to take it right now. So I'll stop down a screen share for a minute. If you have any like question, just let me know so that we can answer it. Or Unnati, if you have figured out some of the questions, please let me know so that we can answer them, and then we can jump on to our second part, which is Git and GitHub.
So,
Yeah. Yes, Shashank, please.
so I wanted to ask, like, what is the approach of reading the README file of the project? Like, I had saw some projects which are having too big README file, and it's difficult to know like what's actually going on in.
Yeah, means that is absolutely correct, buddy. So what I generally recommend to the students is that you clone that entire project to your local repository or to the local machine, install it and start using it. But obviously to get start, there are always the sections in the readme file that okay, this is what the objective is. Understand the objective and start exploring it, and then it becomes easier for you to go through that readme file. But again, having said that, there are few of the readme files which are quite bulky, as you mentioned. So I personally request their maintainers, or like if there are some onboarding calls which are happening, I participate in them, and I try to hear it from others that what is there in this particular project. Like recently, I guess I was studying about this RPA, robotic process automation. I was not knowing that what it is and how it is going to work. So what I did, I participated in one of the talk where they were talking about what is RPA and how it got founded. So half of my things I was able to correlate after hearing the talks. So do participate in the onboarding calls, do connect to the Slack channels, and just simply ask, drop down a question that I'm not able to understand this readme file, it looks quite bulky or something, and somebody will be there to provide you an ease answer or a ease version out of that.
Yes, sir. There are many questions in the chat box. So Rahul is asking that you said about contest and all. So how contests are different from hackathons?
Yeah, so Rahul, thing is, hackathons are like in journal are of like in 24 hours running program or 12 hours nowadays, or it is like something like where you create down an idea and start implementing it. Now thing is, when it comes to these open source contests, these are the ways to attract the contributors to contribute for a particular project which is there in the market. So like let's take an example of Google Summer of Code. Google Summer of Code is a 6 months long run program where you will be submitting your idea or your project, And if it get approves by that community, over 6 months the people will be guiding you, and on the evaluation they will evaluate that how the process is being done. Whether, or on the other side, in terms of hackathons, in hackathons it is just like a 24-hour runs. You just go there and it's good to go. That's all. So there you have a proper guide, you have a proper like set of instructions, that over a 6 months you have to create that project live up and running. But over the hackathon it is all about presenting an idea, working on a blueprint, and get it started.
So there is one question from Tanya Goel that
Mhm.
if one is in third year, so how which contest and which hackathons could be participating in?
Hackathon, I would suggest go into every single hackathon you can participate. Even if you are not winning, you are building the connections over there. That is one. Then second, if you are in the third year, chances of accepting the most like participant is the third year only. So all the contests which I have just shared, because what happens is in the fourth year everybody will start running beyond behind their like this what I should say placements and all, right? So people also know that if the person isn't coming in from the fourth year, they will be highly chance that they will lose this contributor, because after fourth year they will get to the company and they are nowhere. But at least if the people will hire, or like even if I'll give a chance to a third year person, I'll be having more like scope that in next 1 year he'll be guiding the same, and he will be onboarding or she will be onboarding more contributors like them. So yes, third year is open for all these contests and your chances are also high. But side by side, also remember that people are from first and second year. If they are trying to reach, they are also your competition. So be mindful when you are trying to participate. But yes, for third year, it's a tough choice. But yes, the chances are very high.
So there is one question from Yog Bharti.
Mhm.
So how to start with October Fest? Like
Oktoberfest.
4 days are already gone, and how to start it?
So basically, Oktoberfest, I guess, I don't know how many of you are active over Twitter or not, but if you have seen that, it is a very shameful part. But yes, some of the people have made this open statement or of a open comment that India is the country who has the maximum spammers in terms of making a pull request for the Hack Oktoberfest. So thing is, Hack Oktoberfest is a month-long participation of people where you can contribute to and you get to win a lot of prizes. So for Hack Oktoberfest, you have to link your GitHub account to your Hack October thing. You just go to hackoctober.digitalocean or whatever the site is. Just go over there, register and map it, and you have to make a 4 PR request. And this year, the criteria has been changed that if that 4 PR which you have made are successfully accepted, you will be entitled for a prize. And also, when this talking about the PR request, only the projects which are tagged under Hack October, hashtag Hack October, that will be only considered. No anything like pull request, you are correcting the grammar spelling out of something, readme or something like that, will be accepted. So
Okay,
it is
sir.
not like that. Then even if it is 4 days has passed, like yes, only 70,000 t-shirts are there to grab. But again,
Okay.
there are a lot of opportunities which are coming, like taking about if you know about JetBrains has come up with the competition that if you are able to clear that contest, you will be getting all the like premium level of IDs and everything, getting free of cost
Yes,
for
sir.
3 months. Even
Yes, sir.
Circle CI is also one of the organization they have introduced a competition where you can win this sticker packs, magical pins, and the t-shirts. Even taking one step ahead, you can still contribute to Hack October without winning a t-shirt. You can also plant a tree, which is there. Then
Yes, sir.
best part which I loved about the open source this Hack October is we are doing the live event. So if you go down to Hack October website, there is a events tab over there. So you can like
Yes, sir.
register yourself, RSVP yourself, and there are more than 450 plus events that are running in different time zone. Just go there, register it, make successful four PRs, and even if you are beginner, there is a video which I saw on Hack October about a few days back, and there is a video which can help you how to create and merge those requests also, like creating a
Yes,
PR and everything is explained.
yes, sir.
So that is there, buddy. So just go there and pull it out
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
anytime.
So there is one question from Shivam.
Hmm.
Sir, who is in solution architect?
So basically, buddy, for us being as a solution architect, we are the wholesome responsible to analyze the customer need. Means when I visit any customer, like taking an example, about few days back, I was interacting with this People Interactive team. Now, People Interactive organization is something who has a very good database of their people and the customer. So I guess I should not say the name out loud, but yes, it is a shadi.com. So that is the behind company behind this organization called shadi.com, called People's Interactive. What we as a solution architect does is we understood that their requirement, their approach, we understood their problem, and when we understood, we tried to map their key aspect, their ask, their problems with our products. Means our as in Red Hat products. So we will ask that, okay, these are your things that you might be requiring, and then proposing a proper solution that by analyzing their infrastructure, their hardware, and every single thing, how we at Red Hat can help you, or we at Red Hat can help your organization to grow. So that is the work of an solution architect, to understand the problem and provide a right set of solutions for any customer. And in a very layman term, it is a pre-sales job where we will be like helping our sales people in aspects of technical objective of that product. That how, if we talk about Red Hat Enterprise Linux, what are the key aspect that Red Hat Enterprise Linux is having, and how it is justifying the market needs. So I hope that I answered your question, Shivam.
Yes, sir, all doubts are clear.
Okay, so let me share it back my screen once again, and let me talk something your GitHub. So I guess Git was a very nowadays it's a very common name out there in the market, that what is this GitHub is all about, what is this Git. So thing is, it one what we are going to see in next like half an hour or also is that very important is to understand that what is the requirement of Git. So pay a close attention, clear your basics, and let's see how Git came into the picture. Then talking about the experiments. So don't be afraid if you get stuck or in something, and even if you are having any silly questions, just ask it, because all the silly question according to me leads always to the great answers. Because sometimes we keep in our heart that yaar ye itna bekar sa question kaun पूछेगा, and in the last we like ended up leaving that project, but that should not. And then I'll try to give you some of the resources from where you can go and learn Git or GitHub the way you want to. So this is something, the word from which is the key root cause of coming Git into the market, called version control system, VCS. So VCS are the category of software tools that helps a software team to manage changes uh, to the source code over the time. Now what happens is, let's take an example of you. You are working on your local machine and you are writing a code, and this code writing might be running for like 30 days or something like that. So what you do, you create a file, that first code, then first code change or something like that. So what you do is, a regular workflow will always have these three methods or something like that. One is, you create a file, you save it, you edit when you make some change, and you save it again, and you keep on repeating it. Or else what you do, you create a file, you save it, you edit it, you go back and resolve the problem and save it back again and keep on repeating. Or the third most important, like which I personally see as a key important ask, is you include second person into that territory, or like you build a team. You create a file, edit it, just make some changes and start saving it back again. And this process keep on repeating for second person also. Like, you created a project, pass it on a second person is going to review and give it back to the community. Now, thing is, this is called a manual VCS, version control system. Like, you create a multiple file with different names. Now, thing is, the major objective or a major ask with these manual CVS is when the file was modified, how you will understand what are the changes that happen, what is modified, who changed that, how the person changed that file, means what are those commits which has been made, if they have made something wrong, how you are going to trace that part. For all this answer, it comes out to a Git. Now, Git is again a free and open source distributed version control system. So VCS is a manual process to control the thing. Git is DVCS, distributed version control system, that was designed everything to help the small to very large projects with the speed and efficiency. How? Most important part in the manual CVS was the security concern, because nobody's going to get to know that who has make some edit in your file. If in a directory you have kept a file, anybody can come and change the code. So how it is being running? But side by side collaboration is a very important part, because you have to open up your code to share it to every single individual out there, because over a time somebody else is going to contribute and you will be able to innovate faster. And also, the communication is always a key ask for any business, because if the team multiple teams can communicate through a single platform, it becomes very much easier for the things. So Git provide you all these three key asks in a single framework, where security is being taken care, where you will answer to all that who has made these changes, what are the commits they have done, how it has been done, when it has been done, and every single thing. It helps you the developers and the admin to collaborate into a single platform, where all timelines of changes decisions can be easily take care, and it is the best way to communicate and to put down the focus on the works and the timelines that you have decided to bring it into the action. So there are few terminologies that are being associated with Git, like organization means where you will understand that these are the organization or this is the particular product that they are looking for. Then there are some repository. Now repository is something like you have kept your repository under a organization. For you understanding, I can say that college is your organization and your personal name directory is your repository. Now, contributors can be your teachers, and then issues and PR request. So this is pull request as a PR. So basically, these are something that if somebody has found out some error or some mistake into your work or into your repository, they can easily pin it out. Like, okay, this is something that a pull request they have done. That hey, I have found out this change, and I want to let you know that this is some change which is there. Please merge it. So issues and the PR are those things. Then if you talk about the branch, so like in your college there are multiple branches like CS, mechanical, EC, civil, and XYZ. So those are the branches, and in the branches the development heads, and when you keep on doing the changes, first of all it goes to branch and then is to the topmost organizers. And similar thing happens like if you talk about Unix has a different distributors of Linux like Fedora, Ubuntu, or Debian. Then into them some minor classifications, like for Fedora it becomes Red Hat, when it comes to Debian it becomes Kali, or if you talk about some different, it keep on evolving. So branches are the subsets of the main organizations where the things are working out. So if you want to set up a Git, just go to github.com. So GitHub is basically an online repo which uses Git in background. So Git is a command line, and the graphical representation and maintaining your Git environment is your GitHub. You can install your Git on a Linux operating system or Mac or on Windows. What you have to do is just you have to like set up your username and password by using terminal git bash or Windows command, and then configure it. So these are like the git config are the few basics command that you can always use, that hey, just configure my git with this username, this email addresses. So that can be set up on Windows or on Linux or on Mac OS. it is very much easier to set up your GitHub account, or even if you wishes, you go down to github.com and just sign up over there with the help of your Gmail account, and you're good to go. Because GitHub is the place which can help you to keep your projects online. You always need not to carry your machine along with you, because what you can do is always just open up on the cloud like experience, anybody's laptop, go and just type github.com, and your project is ready with your profile on the dates, all the changes, everything can be easily being observed. And this is one of the major criteria for hiring, that if the people are mentioning GitHub account, we see them as active contributors and it attracts us. As well as when you want to contribute to all the projects in open source, GitHub is the one of the key ask for every single individual. So without wasting time, start learning Git, that what is the GitHub and how you can create and a request and every single thing. So let me give you means how the origin and upstream works. So similar thing, let's take about these are the upstream, like somebody else repository is there. What you can do is you can fork that repo. So now forking means on another remote machine, you simply map that repo. Like this is a Google's repo, you forked it at your cloud, and from that cloud what you can do is you can clone the entire machine into your local computer. So this is my local computer where I can make the change. Now when you want to push any change, means you found out some error is there, you fork, or you basically put down the request to the fork that you have. Or you can make like every single time if there is a change happening at this remote machine, that will be automatically get reflected to your fork, and you can pull down the request from there itself. Now pulling means if there was a change that being made from this original repo, that can be easily pulled out by from your repo also. Or even from your local machine, if you want to directly contribute to the main repo, you can also pull it down from there, and that can be also used. In general, we are using the remote forking because that can help my community to grow more, because we are not making a direct change to my original repository. Because sometime if you have made some change, or if you have pulled out a wrong request, that entire machine can be pulled down. So in general, it is not highly recommend to contribute to directly and upstream. There are always the channels which are coming into the picture, and they are called the fork or the branches, which you are working for, which you're looking for. So these are some of the basic commands, and I'll share down this PPT along with you, where you can just go to this link called git-scm.com, where you will understand that how you can initialize your plain Git environment, if you want to clone any existing repo, if you want to add some changes to it, if you want to check what is the status of Git repository, if you want to commit some changes, if you want to push it to the upstream, if you want to pull any changes from the fork, if you want to create a different branch out of it, and if you want to merge the two branches into one, how all these commands can work. So git-scm.com is actually a link where you can go and search about all these particular command. The document is very easy to go and very easy to learn and get started with the Git also. Now, to contributing to Git can be done in two ways. One, you can create your own repo, and second is you can create contribute to the others repo. Now, if you're contributing to the other repo, fork that repo, clone it to your local machine, and start contributing to it. If you want to create your own repo, create a local repository or create a repository in GitHub. Both the ways work, because anyway, when you are going to create it on GitHub, you are going to access it via local machine only. So one or the other way, if you want to create a local repository, configure Git. If you want to create it on browser or on a graphics, go to GitHub and create a link. So when I said Git, there was also a keyword that was assigned, which is called branching. Now what is this branching is all about? So here you can see there are multiple branch, like master branches there, which is the major part. Then it is like the release, then it is the developers, features and features. So what happens is we start a project and we start developing it. Now developing can be done in multiple stages. where we keep on adding some new features, and these features might be requiring certain testing out of it. Now once the testing is being done and the development, because there are some of the continuous product people who will be utilizing it, so those development are also heading. Once the new projects are being features are being catered, now these features are automatically aligned to the developers branch. Now what happens is when this developer branch get merged to your new features, it comes to a release mode. Then there are some checks that happens, that okay, these are the some checks which have been done, and the release is there. Now two parallel process will happen. At one time it get merged to the master branch where the products are getting utilized, and secondly it again comes to the development stage, because the continuous development should keep on going it. So this is how the branches works. So nobody is directly working on the master branch. As you can see, what they did is they simply forked a developers branch. Over the development branch all the new features are getting added. I'm sorry, I have just I forgot to put down an arrow over here. But yes, if you talk about like the developer came into the picture, the developer is developing, they are adding some new functionalities and feature to it. Once the functionality are being merged to the developer, they come down to the release. All the testings have been done. Once the testing is done, it get merged to the master branch, and side by side it again jump onto the developers part. Now again the same new features will be added, and all the bugs will get resolved. When the resolution will be done, again it get merged to the master branch, and the product is available to all the public for utilizing it. So it is also important because whenever a new feature is coming, it is easier to keep the track via branch. So every single new feature, a new branch is created, because that can be easily managed. But if you are going to manage the all the new feature in the master, it is very hard to track. So for ease, you can easily understand that one feature is equals to one branch, and all the branches are getting merged into the master one. Then these are some of the branch related commands which you can check it out always. Like if you want to list down all the branches, local and remote, git branch hyphen a, you can easily check. If you want to create a new branch, it is very simple, git branch and the new name. Git branch hyphen d to delete it. To origin hyphen delete means if you want to remove the entire remote branch, you can use it. If you want to switch to a new branch as well as create a new, what you can do is git checkout hyphen b, and then give the branch name, so automatically it switches to the new branch and creates a new branch and all these parts. So always you can go to github.com/oshnh and git commands, and I'll share down this ppt with you, or to Unnati, she can distribute to all others, where you can understand that how this branching works. Then inspection becomes very much important, because I just talked about what are the major challenges and key asks. So git log can help you to view all the changes that are being done. And even if you uses hyphen hyphen summary, it has the detailed, and hyphen hyphen one line means a brief introduction. Even you can compare the branch changes by using git diff, like git diff source branch and the target branch, because it is going to tell you that how what are the changes that have been brought in from this branch to this branch. So this is also one of the key important feature of git. Then how you make the change. So basically, as I mentioned, that you clone down the entire project on your local repository. Now when you do git add, it is basically coming to the staged repository, which is again a local. Now one code, when the code is actually in the stage process and you found out that what you have done is something wrong, you can always use git reset, and it get simply back to the untracked zone. Now when it says untracked, this is your local machine which is keeping no track out of it. You always do a git add, which becomes to a local stage repository, and when you make a git commit, now it is a remote directory from which you have forked on, and it has got committed to it. Means all the changes are being preserved over there itself now. So untracked means your local repository where you have like just cloned the project, nothing you have done. You keep on making the change, it becomes stage. Now when you make a commit, it goes down to the remote branch, that okay, these are the commits that have been done. Now even if you want to like reset, you can always reset your staged work, that is from local after adding add, and it get reset to the starting point. And even when you have the remote branch, what you can do is, like, if you have done something wrong and if you are not able to reset it, what you can do is clone a original branch again and check the differences that you have done, and you can easily find out the things. So that is one of the easiest way to use Git. Now, there are some of the like local changes if you want to discard, or if you want to discard the like the committed changes. Git stash, git checkout, git reset, git revert, checkout, reset commands are there, which are like even the I should say the self-explanatory commands, which can easily help you to discard the changes that you have done, even in the local and to the committed changes. That means even over here, if you want to remove the changes, or even if you want to remove the changes from here, you can always use git revert, git checkout, git reset, and all these commands like that way. Now, this is how the entire projects work. Like, if you talk about the two developers, what they are trying to do is, if you see the developer A, what they have done from this remote repository, they cloned the entire project, they cut down a working copy, they are making some changes over here. Now, into the local repository, they are like forwarding the change. Now, from this, what they do is they simply push it to the remote repository. And if you found out some error, they simply fetch the detail, pull it back to the working directory, make the changes, and then push it back. Over the other side, similar thing for the developer B. What they can do is they can clone the entire remote repository, fetch all the changes, push if something they have found out, and over here they can easily pull down those changes also to see what all the changes are there. And to pull the cloned work, or like to pull the changes that have been done, that can be easily done via git pull command. So Git is basically nothing but like is a command line interpreter to copy your entire project, to make all the changes and whatnot. And GitHub is your remote working directory where you can start working on it. So basically, when you have worked your things, and if you are done with your work, you can always use git push command to push the changes to the remote repository. Or if you have cloned a project, and if you do git pull, it will actually pull down all the changes that have been done over the remote repository. Now, when I say when it pulls the change, let's say I have written ABCD and I have added E to it. Now on my local repository, when I'm going to do git pull, it is only going to pull E because ABCD is already there. Now this also saves a lot of time and bring agility to our work, because it is only going to pull down the changes that have been done. So it is like that. Now, if you want to add any repository, you can also use git remote command, and all these commands are there. And I believe you can even do it on Google, or I'll share down this PPT with you. The most important part. Sorry. Okay. I'll take that as no. Okay, so talking about the creating an issue or creating a pull request, what is this pull request is all about? So thing is, when you want to make any change and you found out there are certain issues, so what we do is we create a pull request for our for that particular project, that hey, I'm making some change and this is a pull request. If you have submitted a pull request and the approvers approves it, it get merged to my branch, or I should say the master branch. So in simpler way, it is like to create an issue and submitting a resolution or resolving way to that issue. And once you do it, the developers can see that what you have made the changes, and if they agrees, they will submit your like approves your pull request, and it directly get merged, and you get like what I should say, the name or the credit for that pulling that successful request. Similar thing are being asked in the hack October, where you have to create 4 successful PRs, means pull request, for any project which are tagged with hack October. So like talking about, if you found out any readme file which is having an grammatical errors, you pull that particular project and make the changes and submit a PR request, that hey, I'm submitting out this PR request on this project, this was the readme which has made some changes, and your changes are being like sent over a PR request, and the approvers approves it, and you are getting the credit of that he has made some changes in this repository itself. So that is about the PRs. Now, Again, talking about the git etiquettes, there are always like some of the processes that we follows. Like talking about, you always are recommend to fork the project which you want to contribute. Don't directly push the changes through the master branch, because that can spoil the entire project. So create the pull request instead of like directly pushing it. Always add the labels to issues. Means I already talked about the open source etiquettes, where I explained that you should always describe as much as you can. You should always address the issues IDs, that okay, this is something that I have made a change. And whenever you make a change or you commit it, you always get a ID, that okay, this is an ID to which I am making some change. If somebody is working on the project, just wait for it becoming an active. Because thing is, there are a lot of might be there are a lot of people who are working on it, and they might be engaged in some other work. Wait for at least like 10-15 days, and if still um, uh, the things are not getting resolved, then you should raise the request or tell them that hey, I have seen this, and explain it. So again, in git, being a cooperative and collaborative is very much important. Sorry. And creating the documentation. So whenever you are making a git commit, it always asks you for a message. Do add that message and create the documentation that is going to help for any other person who is going to review your request. So these are certain etiquettes of GitHub and Git. So I have always believed in this part, and I said it also when somebody was trying to do certain things in my first half, that success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking you how you do it. So somebody famous has said it this absolutely correct, that when you want to be successful, first of all start loving yourself, and then start distributing the words. So God bless everyone. If you have any question, do reach out to me on Twitter or over LinkedIn. Um, uh, though Unnati have already tagged me, but still, for your handle request, you can always reach out to me over RSCA Sharma. And now with that, I'll stop sharing the screen. And if you have any question, any ask for me, please feel free to ask, and I can definitely help us to just be whatever you want to ask. So, any questions, guys? Do you have? So I saw one question that, just be clear, are the changes made via local machine reflected in the main repository? No, Rahul, till the time you don't push it, it is not gonna get reflect. So Rahul, definitely I'm gonna share down the resources or like the PPT to Unnati, and then you can reach out to Unnati for all these things, that how you can get it. So I
Thank you,
have
sir.
already explained about here. Yeah, Unnati, please. So I guess everything is already answered, which is there in the chat. And right, yeah. Yes, Unnati, over to you.
So there is one question in the chat box, that how to find the source code which needs to make change.
So you need not to find out the source code. You always need to find out the issues which are there. So basically, like when we say, so lot of time the project owner always mention this is the first issues. So you start searching for the issues. So now when I said start searching for the issues, like beginner friendly issues, you can always find out on these upforgrabs.net and issueshub.io. Similar thing, there are a lot of other websites where you can go and search down like these are the requests. And if you still not, there is Bugzilla, where you people, a lot of people create the bugs and issues report. You go there, and when you will find out a bug, they will see that okay, this particular project is having bugs at this. You pull it out, make the changes. If you find out the resolution, you document it and submit a PR request, and that is how it works.
Guys, you could ask the questions by unmuting yourself, if any.
Okay, by that time, if somebody doesn't have any question, I would love to see your all faces. Like, if you can turn on your web camera, I will be very glad to see that there are few people who are sitting and who are listening me since like last 2 hours. So it would be great if somebody and or if how much many of you can turn on your webcam so that at least we can see and preserve it as a memory, at least to me, that you were there. If I made some mistake, do let me know by connecting over me over social media. If I can be the help, I'll be glad to improve myself, as well as would love to help you all. If you all can turn, like whosoever can turn on